first time, though.
Yeah,
You think that we
but
dominate
Thursday-
them more than 3-1 in the second game?
Thursday's the championship game.
No, I understand that. What I'm trying to ask you is, do you think they're going to have Cale McCarr? We're going to be without McAvoy. We're going to be possibly without Matt Tkachuk, right? Matt Tkachuk was the one who slid into the goalpost last night.
Brady Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk was
he
already
didn't even
sitting
play.
out. Yeah.
Right. He had the lower body injury, and then Brady Tkachuk goes down, and those were, the two of the first three fights. I believe the third fight on Saturday evening was JT Miller. So do you think that we go in there into Boston and smash them?
We're Americans. We're not, you know what? You know what I'm saying? Next man up mentality, bro.
I love it.
But, the stupid Canucks booed our national anthem. They got what they deserved, and more of that has come where that came from in the first place.
Let me ask you this real quick, Michigan Eddie, before the rant continues. Let me ask you this: Do you think our fans, when we're there in Boston, should boo the Canadian anthem?
No.
I love it. I'm right there with you. I was saying that yesterday.
No, because it's our national anthems are more than just politics, bro. They're a symbol of pride of the Canadian and American people, not our stupid AWS politicians, bro. Sorry, and that's just the way it is.
You don't have to apologize for spelling. You just let me win the spelling bee.
No, I don't want Randy to get mad at me. He gets mad at me a lot. But I really don't care about that either. He can get mad at me all he wants. I'm a people's caller. I can do, it is what it is. Anyway.
You bet your AWS.
And NBA needs to take a clue out of what the NHL is doing, because the All-Star Weekend is terrible. I mean, that game is going in the tubes. And the only thing good about the NBA is the Pistons and Cade Cunningham. Awesome. And got this about NASCAR.
Yeah, of course you can.
You got it right in Daytona by letting them race to the checker flag. But why did you do that in the duel on Thursday? You do it right one time, then you do it wrong the other. It's got to be standardized, you moron.
Consistency, yeah. And I think there was from what I read, outside of what I watched the Daytona 500. I did not watch the duels, and I think there was also a situation either in the Xfinity Series, but I believe it was actually in the Craftsman Truck Series, where there was another issue where the timing of the caution and how that played out was a factor. And I think that's what everyone screams across the board. I think we ask for the same thing in the NFL, same thing in college football, same thing in Major League Baseball. Consistency. Let me, when I see the call or the flag that you threw, whatever it may be, I want to understand why. I want to be used to why you threw that flag at that particular place. And in this case, it's a caution flag.
That's right. It just baffles my mind how they got it right in the race. But the duel was, and then make poor Eric Jones out there thinking he won the checkered flag, and he did, and then he had to go back to the pits and all. It was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing for NASCAR and all that. And Joey Logano, why he tried to go in the middle there, you had like 8-9 laps left to go, bro. Just take it easy, man. Come on, Joey.
Are you a Logano guy?
Well, yeah. Ford guy. I'm a driver Raptor, so I'm a Ford guy. But I like Byron because he's a Christian. Liberty. My wife went to Liberty, so I'm glad that he won. I like Chase Elliott. I mean, my driver is Dale Jr., so I kind of was going for Justin Allgaier. But since Dale Jr. left the race, I kind of like there's a whole handful I like. I really don't have one or the other.
Allgaier was in
people that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, though.
Allgaier was in the 40 and the Travelers. That was a nice little setup that they had, right?
Yeah, so Chris Stapleton, whiskey or something, and all that. So it was good. You just hate to get the Penske and the Fords were dominating, and Chevy won the race because Joey took that chance. They didn't have to take it yet.
Right.
And either you hate Joey or you love Joey, kind of like a Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
But dude, he's just a great dude off the track and all that. But when he's racing, he's racing. Just like Dale. Dale Sr. was the same way.
Right.
It is what it is.
He got hosed.
Buttercup. Get back to hockey real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
You know what? The Canadian people are beautiful people. But for them and what they did when the virus first started happening with the truckers and all that, I admire them tremendously. But they should not be booing our national anthem after how much our countries mean to each other. And I'll tell you, we're gonna whoop that Keister in hockey finally, because your is done.
I hope so. Luck is not on our side, Michigan, Eddie. I mean, we've only beat them once in these tournaments like that, and that was back in '96 in the World Cup of Hockey. That was a nasty series, too. I remember Brett Hull had some sour grapes. He wanted to play for Team Canada. He's got dual residency, you know. So then he ended up playing for the U.S., and that was the time when the U.S. won. Big ups to guys like Mike Richter and that, Brian Leach, Phil Housley. It was a good series, but the cards are kind of stacked against us a little bit, so I hope we can actually prevail on Thursday.
Yeah, I remember in 2002 I was a senior at the academy, and that was when Salt Lake City was going on right up the street, you know, from Colorado. And we lost the silver to Canada that year, if you remember that, when it came from Salt Lake City, Utah, and we could have won that game, and we didn't.
Well, in 2010, we had them, and we got to overtime, and then Sidney Crosby got that golden goal in OT, and that's what done us in.
Yep. But you got to give respect to Crosby.
No, he's a Pittsburgh fan. No, I don't respect Sidney.
Gotta give respect to Sid the Kid. You gotta give respect to Sid the Kid.
Not to Cindy. Cindy doesn't deserve respect.
I'm okay, man, Rick.
Pittsburgh. You can hate the city of Pittsburgh. And I get that.
No, I hate the Penguins. No. It's not the city of Pittsburgh. It's okay. I don't care about the Steelers. They're in the opposite conference from the Eagles, all right? The Pittsburgh Penguins have always been in the same division as the Philadelphia Flyers. I can't stand the Pittsburgh Penguins, period.
Well, and Sid the Kid is a great...
Respect the player. Sid the Kid is a great player. He's done a lot for hockey, eh? It's kind of like C.J. Stroud, the Buckeye.
He got gifted.
But he's a great Christian man, and he's an awesome quarterback for the Texans.
He got gifted to Mario Lemieux in the Pittsburgh Penguins when that team was about to fold and move. And the NHL did them like the NBA did to Patrick Ewing with the New York Knicks.
So are you doing a Harbaugh saying like Day was born on third base, but he thought he got a triple or something?
No, but there's a lot of kids out there that are like that today.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of entitled kids out there. Yeah, you're totally right. They haven't earned a dang thing. You're absolutely right.
But Sidney Crosby's career is so long and illustrious that, you know, yes, his time with Mario Lemieux or with...
He played with Malkin more, Lemieux just being his mentor.
Right. His time there at the beginning, but I don't know... He's one of the greats of hockey. Like, for me, someone who didn't watch Wayne Gretzky, like, my biggest memory of Wayne Gretzky was having a New York Rangers figurine of him when I was growing up, and then reading about him in Sports Illustrated for kids. As I've gotten older, I've realized how great he is. But Sidney Crosby, when I first got into the game, when I first got into the sport of hockey, Sidney Crosby was the man. And I'm a Lightning guy, so, you know, not a huge fan, but not a huge hater either. But, you know, you got to recognize greatness when you see it, right?
Not when he's wearing gold and black, baby.
All right.
I respect that, you know?
Sometimes you got blinders to greatness.
I respect that, but you can respect the player and his ability. You don't have to like the team he plays for. But, hey, do you check out Messier and P.K. Subban in their digs on, was it Saturday, with the fur coat and all that?
Yeah, the fur coat. Didn't PK's...
And the ode to Don Cherry's Grapevine. I remember watching over Detroit on Windsor Channel 9, CBC, right? You know, Don Cherry's Grapevine, with his dog Blue with the poppy. Remember?
You're hating on Canadians.
No, I don't remember
for saying
that.
A as much as you have in this segment.
No, but I basically adopted Canadians because I grew up right across the border. I used to go to Grand Bend, Stratford, Toronto, Windsor, all the time and party it up because the drinking age was 19 back in the
I got family just north of Windsor living up there.
Yeah,
I've been up there many times. Been to Bablu? Bablo, you been there?
That's Canadian on the mouth of the Detroit Lake Erie River. Now it's a real estate development because there are a bunch of morons that took away their amusement park.
I've been to Canada's Wonderland, too.
Yeah, I've been there, too.
I hope we have snowbirds tuning in right now, someone to know what the heck we're talking about.
My dad used to play on the Bablo boats up and down the river on the midnight cruises. He plays trumpet.
I just went to the amusement park once and just took the ferry over, but I thought it was a pretty cool amusement park.
Oh, it was awesome, but you had to take the steamers from Detroit to Bablo versus the little car ferry from Amherstburg or Gibraltar. You know what I'm saying? But the best park of all time is Cedar Point and Kings Island. Destroys Disney World if you're a thrill seeker for roller coasters. Just saying. Cedar Point, Kings Island, Google it, and I will be proven right. Just saying.
Look it up.
Just look it up, bro. and Lake Erie doesn't stink like it used to because they cleaned up Lake Erie, which a bunch of dead carp and goldfish.
Yeah, it got caught on fire once before.
That was the Cuyahoga River. Great state of Ohio you got there. Great state of Ohio. Anyway.
The river caught on fire?
All the pollution and all the garbage, stuff that was in there floating in the water, like not garbage, but I think it was like chemicals and stuff. Actually, the body of water caught on fire.
Ohio is a dirty state, bro.
The irony.
It is. It is a dirty, dirty state. The only thing good about Ohio are the Toledo Mud Hens, the Cedar Point, Kings Island, and the Air Force Museum, and Skyline Chili. And that's and my goddaughter. And that's about it.
My goddaughter. All the rest of the people in Ohio, are you saying? And then we've got people listening who are big fans of the Cincinnati Reds.
You hearing that, Kovaleski? Where you at?
No. I said the state of Ohio stinks. And I said the only good things about it. And Jason Kovaleski and Coach K, they don't live in Ohio anymore, brother. They live down here.
Are you saying they made correct life choices?
Actually, no, Ohio, I agree with a lot of their political leanings and J.D. Vance and all that, so they're good. But I got to hate Ohio because I'm a Michigan guy.
There you go, the team down south. Why don't y'all say that? What do y'all call them? Just Ohio?
Just Ohio.
Just call them High. Don't mention the O. They don't mention the M, and just call them High.
No, that's another thing, too. Ohio can't beat Michigan in anything. We just whooped their butts in Columbus in basketball, you know? And then Michigan, I think they swept Minnesota. I mean, Michigan is where it's at, bro. Ohio doesn't have nothing. 2 lost national champs. Michigan undefeated. What are they do?
Still national champions.
Hey, are they going to blame the 13-10 loss on this year on Connor Stallions too? Puss boys? Yo, sour puss boys?
Hey, it's got to feel good as a Michigan fan that you guys hoisted the trophy before Ohio State, and in the same year that they won the national championship, y'all beat them.
But they didn't really win before.
We are just literally a better school in every category. We are a better school in every category. Look it up. USA News and World Report, everything. Athletics, academics, medical, engineering. You name it, we're better than that school down south.
Marching band?
And that's a fact check. Marching band's even better. The high step in Big Ten, bro.
Where's my Ohio State fans calling in? Michigan Eddie, hit us with your sign-off, my friend. We only got 3 minutes left in this segment.
Love you guys. It's always a pleasure. It's all entertainment. So, hey, don't take it personal out there, people.
I want them to. I want them to call in.
But I will tell you, everything I said was fact and truth, not fake news. Gold Blue Truck Series rep. We're going to throw you back 10-0. Love you guys. I'm out. See ya.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the People's Call, or Michigan Eddie, and he just gave you so many facts on why Michigan is better than Ohio State. Tyler did correct me in the middle of that sentence, though. Ohio State did win a playoff, a championship prior to Michigan winning, so there is that. But they won championships in back-to-back years, and that's something that I've got to ask you at 5 o'clock today. You've got the SEC and the Big Ten meeting over there in New Orleans tomorrow.
Which is like an odd place to meet up.
It's an odd place to meet up, first and foremost, but secondarily is the things that they're going to be meeting up about. And why? And thirdarily, why is it just them two? If we're going to be power conferences, which, and again, maybe we don't see eye to eye on this, but the ACC and the Big 12 still have powerful names within their conferences. So why are they not a part of these meetings?
Are we saying the Big 12 does?
We're going to use it loosely.
All right.
We're going to use it loosely, but we're going to say that they do. I mean, come on now. Deion Sanders is a head coach over there.
I don't even mean that as disrespect to the Big 12, but if
it's just when you look across the board, who is it? Who's
the biggest football name in the Big 12? Is it?
I mean, you can't say Utah. That's not fair, is it? Is it Texas Tech?
I mean, that's kind of the point.
Can we just send Oklahoma back to the?
No, I'm just. Is it Oklahoma State? Is it like their biggest name is like a tier
TCU,
3
Kansas State
football school?
I mean,
like tier 2.
And that's even going off of if you were to look up those teams on college football.
Is it fair to call them like a mid majors? You know what I mean?
No, that's
I think they're kind of they're not a group
They're
of 5,
not
but they're not a power
mid-majors,
four.
though. Mid-majors is like Dallas Baptist.
Well, I'm talking
and-
like in the football world, not talking like how in basketball, but
They're kind of they're in a weird spot in between.
Yeah, but mid-majors to me is like a big step below.
Yeah.
Like that would be like in basketball, you know, if you're going to say that, all right, let's go 6 years, 7 years in the past, right? Prior to Nate Oates getting there, Alabama, right? Like they weren't a good basketball school,
Well,
but you wouldn't
where
call them a mid-major.
Gonzaga came from.
Yeah, but and they're technically, Gonzaga's a mid-major, right? But they got a powerful brand behind them.
Yeah, for like the last 20-something years now.
So I don't know. I guess it's just, I guess mid-major is...
Boise State, you know, same kind of thing. Like they had a run, you know, they were really good 20
Boise
years
State
ago.
is...
And, you know...
right, but do we put Boise State on the same tier as what we do Texas Tech, Kansas State, Oklahoma State? Like, have they worked their way up to it? Yes.
Maybe now, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they've worked their way up to it, yes. But, like, in the reality, like, if you look at the power of a brand, I would say that Boise State's, that one's really tough, though. When you start saying it out loud like that, it does kind of become tough. We're out of time. I want to ask so much more, but we have a whole hour to get into. Sam Peebles is going to be joining us next. We're going to talk a little baseball, take a break from the football action. But when it's Tuesdays, when we have our college football prognosticator in the building, we talk football until football's over. And then guess what? We still talk football. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're talking baseball with Sam Peebles coming up next.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The rest of the day, some sun and 65 with a light breeze out of the east-northeast at 5 miles per hour. For tonight, sprinkles and mostly clouds and a low near 54. Tomorrow, raining lightly most of the day except mostly clouds in the evening and a high around 58. For Thursday, mostly sunshine and a high of 49. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family.
Mid-South Lumber, where they treat you like family. Locally owned and serving the residents of Bay County for over 45 years. See Mid-South Lumber for all of your DIY projects, including windows, doors, siding, lumber, and millwork. Are you building a new home? Bring your contractor in to Mid-South Lumber and meet with a member of their sales team to discuss your framing, siding, windows, and doors. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. 717 West 11th Street.
He likes to lift weights in a parking lot and eat Weight Gainer 3000.
I'm really starting to feel out nasty.
David Hayes is part of the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Also amazing is being in the doghouse with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with our college football prognosticator, Tyler Bishop, and our guy from the cave, Caveman Rick, sporting that USA jersey, which is not the Jersey-only jersey. Whose jersey is that? Just 1776?
It's just like just some random jersey. I don't think it's supposed to be for anybody. It's just one of those things you just pick up at a store. You know, it's older.
What's the patch say? Sky Vibe?
No, it's the company that made it. It's a citywide.
Oh, citywide.
Yeah.
So there's nothing on the back?
Oh,
yeah,
just the number 76.
Right.
Oh,
That's what made me say 1776.
But like, 1776, like bicentennial kind of things.
Are you ready for 2076?
Hope I'm still around.
Do you?
Fair. I mean,
don't
don't
know.
we all at that point? Like,
Let's see. That's 51 years from now. That would make me 85.
And I'm 47 now, so I'll be 98. So there's a possibility there, yo.
There's a possibility. Hey, man,
You're
brother.
telling me there's a chance.
If I don't have kids, do not let me stay here till 85. Like, we got to cap it off somewhere.
Yeah, I got grandkids. By then, I could have like great grandkids potentially.
There you go, my man. We would be happy for you. Again, this is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 in Panama City 101.9 and Port St. Joe. Keep it locked in here as we've got a great afternoon full of sports talk for you. Tyler's Takes coming up at 5. Then I've got a little fun game for us to play with a random wheel generator at 5:20 for a college football team builder. And then at 4:40, we're going to ask you guys a trivia question. But now, one of my favorite segments of the week as we get ready for spring training, as we get ready for the regular season, we've got the creator and the host of the Braves Dugout podcast on with us, Sam Peebles. Also, he is Commissioner Chair 1 in Lynn Haven. Sam, what's going on?
Going well. Thanks for having me on again.
Hey, no, absolutely, man. It is a pleasure to have your bright mind in the building with us. And for those of you who haven't checked out the Braves Dugout podcast, not only does Sam do just such a great job covering the Braves and analyzing them, but he also gets you caught up, especially if you're reading his articles. But he uses terminology that aligns with sabermetrics, but he does a great job explaining that to you. And so hopefully if you're listening to Sam, you learn about that along the way. Sam, what I'm looking from you today is 3 big storylines throughout the world of baseball ahead of spring training.
Oh man, there's so much this year.
Well, give me 10.
To think of something. Well, I think maybe one of the out of the box ones that maybe people really aren't talking about is in spring training this year. They're going to be able to do the new balls and strike challenge system that they've been doing in minor league baseball. And that's going to be really no pun intended, but that could be a game changer in terms of how the game is played in the future. And so that's going to be really fun to see how that plays out. If I know the rules properly, which I don't want to, don't put money on it, but I believe you get 2 challenges per team, and if one of the challenges is upheld or you win the challenge. If you win the challenge, you get your challenge back. So that'll be fun to see. And then the easy answer would be how much of a juggernaut the Dodgers are going to be, but more specifically, seeing Ohtani pitching from the mound once again.
You think is that a fact that he is going to be pitching again here in 2025?
Well, he's throwing 96 off the mound earlier this week, so I'm going to go ahead and say that is probably going to happen.
Can I ask you this, Sam? Does Ohtani show up in reliever as a reliever, or does he start games? And if so, does it take 2 different teams, a combination of their starters, to match up to what the Dodgers are going to be trotting out when it comes to opening day starting rotation? If Ohtani's a part of that?
I think really it's just going to be Ohtani's one of the best players out there, and they're just going to have to. They're going to pitch him, and he's going to be a starter. Because I mean, I know I've said this, I've beat this dead horse, but you could be the best pitcher in the world, but the best value would never be a reliever if you can be a starter. You could have a above average starter, and you're bringing more value to the team than an elite closer because you pitch more innings.
Wow.
So he's going to be a starter, and they didn't pay that type of money for a DH and a relief pitcher, so he's going to be a starter.
Well, man, I mean, but when it comes to other teams and their, when you compare a starting rotation versus a starting rotation, and let's say, I mean, we're talking about Yamamoto, we're talking about Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow, who else do we have in that rotation right now?
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Is there anyone in the league who stacks up even sort of close?
When the Dodgers are healthy, I'm going to say no. The only team that comes close to mind is the Braves, but they don't stack up. I mean, we're just being honest here.
Right, and that's really depending on Chris Sale having a bounce-back year, which we talked about with you last time. Not a bounce-back year, but repeating the year that he had in his bounce-back year. It's counting on Reynaldo Lopez, and then it's also counting on one or two of the young guns to be what we've expected them to be.
Right. And the thing that's really hurt the Dodgers the most over the past decade or so is that on paper they're an excellent team, but they can't seem to keep a healthy rotation. And so they went all in on the rotation this year. And, I mean, they could lose two guys out of their rotation and still be excellent.
There you go. Well, we got a listener question in from Rob, so we'll break away from my questions for this one. What about the rise in Barry Bonds and his popularity right now, even being included in Top Series 1? He's going to be one of the big finds in those boxes. Is he on pace to be inducted in the Hall of Fame? Thanks, Rob, for the question. We appreciate it.
Now, as on pace, no, he won't be elected in the traditional way. But it's going to take what it's taken other players if he's going to get in, which is the Veterans Committee or one of those other committees that can vote on people after they've already come off the ballot. That's really the only way it's going to happen. I think it's slowly trending that way. When we started seeing guys like David Ortiz, who was a DH for most of his career, there was rumors of things going on. It's hard to say for sure because Gary Sheffield didn't get in, and he's never failed a drug test, but he was tied to the steroids. He didn't get in on his final ballot. So it's really hard to say, but I would imagine that it is slowly trending that way. I just don't know if it's going to trend that way fast enough to where he's no longer in the limelight, if you will. I mean, you know, there's so many guys that that were elite in their time frame that people just don't talk about anymore. Like, if I was to talk about King Kelly or someone like that you're probably not like, oh yeah, that dude was awesome. You don't remember him because you weren't alive. So there may come a time where his time does run out, where most people that watched him play are no longer alive. So the question is he going to stay popular enough for long enough to when those people that are willing to vote him in are able to vote him in?
Yeah, no, that's a great point there and a great answer as always, Sam. So what we've got the Dodgers with Ohtani pitching. We've got spring training going to be using in Arizona and in Florida going to be using the ABS, the automatic balls and strikes system there with the challenges, and we'll be able to see how that plays out and if Major League Baseball is going to move that way forward. What is the third storyline that you're looking for?
The Braves playing the Reds at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Oh, August 2nd.
That's what I would put.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. I want to see what happens there.
Do you?
That's going to be cool.
Can I ask you this? As a fan of the Braves, as a fan of baseball in general, would you rather be at that game in person or watch it from television?
Television. I'm not paying that type of money.
That's where I said that if I get press, I might go. If I don't get press credentials, then there's no way I'm going to that. Caveman Rick, what do you got?
I got a hot take on that I told you about the other day when we were watching NASCAR. And that is that I got a feeling because of the way this field is going to be set up, the angles and everything are going to be way off compared to a normal, MLB baseball field. I predict somebody's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen, depth perception, somebody's going to make a wrong move, something or other. I'm not looking for anybody to get hurt, but I just think you're trained, you got muscle memory to do certain things a certain way. And the way that field's set up, I just think something bad's going to happen.
That's a fair point.
I think for me, the reason I wouldn't want to go to the game is because, I've heard people who've been to Bristol to watch a race say, well, there's not a bad seat in the house. Okay, well, I've been to the Titans game, to Nissan Stadium to watch the Titans, and I also went to Nissan Stadium to watch the Lightning take on the Predators for a stadium game.
Stadium series.
I had the Stadium Series, stadium game, whatever. But thanks for the correction, keeping me on top of things. I had probably the best seats that I've ever purchased at the hockey game there in Nissan Stadium. It was 8 rows off of the wall, right? The wall is about 100 yards away from the hockey wall. So it was like, oh, all right, it was just, I've told people since, if you've never been to a hockey game, the Stadium Series should not be the first that you go to. You should go to a regular game to take in what the actual atmosphere is like. Now, I think Major League Baseball is using this as an opportunity to dive into a demographic that maybe they don't already have, or just to set the attendance record. However, I think that this is going to be better for viewing on TV than it is going to be being there, at least from my perception. So I'm right there with you, Sam. And again, ain't no way I'm buying that. Come on, they're expensive enough at Truist. Now, early on in the season, we do take on the Rays at Steinbrenner Field. This could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to watch the Rays play Major League Baseball against your favorite team in a minor league stadium. And this is a stadium that I frequented when I was a kid, because I was all in that area off of Dale Mabry Boulevard, going to spring training games and stuff, just lucky enough to grow up in that area. So there's a large chance that I'm going to go to a Braves-Rays game this year. Sam, how expensive do you think that those tickets are going to be when they're playing at Steinbrenner Field, a minor league facility, a AAA facility?
I think it's going to be affordable just because of who they're playing, if we're being honest, because they're not the home team, right? The Braves are not. Yeah,
the Braves are the away team, but that's how the Rays make their money, is on the away team tickets.
That's true. I would say that it's probably worth the trip if you live in this area.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's about the same. It's actually probably a longer trip to Tampa, which is about 5.5 hours or so. Atlanta's about what? About the same, really, depending on
traffic.
Yeah, hit that traffic, and that is where things change. So, and there's traffic in Tampa just the same way that there's in Atlanta, but I think it's a lot worse in Atlanta from the times that I've been on the interstate. Sam Vlad Jr., again, we're talking with Sam Peebles. He's the host and creator of the Braves Dugout podcast. Make sure that you guys tune into that once he releases his first episode of season number. What season are we on? 4?
6.
Season 6 of the Braves Dugout podcast. Vlad Jr. is going to be, will he be traded, or will he head into free agency after this year, spending the entire season with the Blue Jays?
Well, if it's after the year, he can't be traded. So
well, no, that's what I'm saying. Will he? Well, I'm saying, will he be traded, or will he go into free agency as a Blue Jay?
I would imagine that it's going to depend. There's so many variables that go into that, as if there's injuries or stuff. In my mind, if someone like Goldschmidt gets injured, he'll be traded. If you got a big market team that's trying to win, and their first baseman goes down, or maybe even if they have a full-time DH or something, that's a key member of their team, I definitely foresee him being traded. And I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted it the way that it is now, because he's basically letting the world know, hey, if they're not signing me, I want to win a World Series. Come get me.
Well, they're not going to be competitive. They finished last in the division last year, right? So things aren't looking that great.
The odds are not high that the Blue Jays will be a playoff team. So odds are he's going to be talk of the town when it comes trade deadline.
Isn't that wild that we didn't have any 100 or any teams with 100 wins last year?
It is, but it's not, because they evened out the schedule a lot more.
Yeah.
So you don't have the Dodgers beating up on the Rockies all year long.
Great point. I was just putting together the Braves schedule for what we're going to be running for live programming this year, and it looks like our West Coast swing is kind of early into the year, and then we'll dive into a lot of divisional games down the stretch, which is how it should be. So I think that it's a rather favorable schedule for the Braves this year. And Tyler's got a question for you.
Hey, Sam, I saw this tweet earlier, and I saved it for today. I know we talked a little bit of baseball. So there's a stat saying that in 2005, there was 30 teams hitting at least 250. Now it's down to 6. Like, what do you think that's a pitching issue, hitting issue? The way that, is it a rules issue that's changed in the last 20 years or so? Like, that just seems like a huge drop to go from 30 down to 6. What do you think is the reason for that, or is it a combination of things?
Well, let me preface this by saying it's not an issue. It's just a change of the game.
Well, yeah, maybe not an issue, but what do you think has contributed to it?
Because if you look at the number of runs scored, that hasn't dropped. So teams are still scoring as many runs just with a lower batting average. And what it's come down to really is that pitchers are throwing so hard and so well that batters have had to adjust and go all or nothing. And that's resulted in as many runs being scored. You're just not getting as many hits. So more hitters have changed to the walk or hit for power approach because they're just not going to be able to get as many hits. It's not possible. So they've had to change their approach. So really it's a combination of the pitching getting better or faster, rather, and the hitters having to adjust.
So is it more of like a boom or bust mentality from the hitters? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. You see a lot more boom or bust with high. Their goal is to either walk or hit the ball as hard as they possibly can.
Great stuff there. Great question, too, as well, Tyler, bringing in the insight from Sam Peebles. And I got a Boston Red Sox guy here with the one Boston Red Sox question, but I also had one set up as well, one of the hot topics with the Red Sox. One, what do you think of the Red Sox picking up Walker Buehler? I mean, now you got Garrett Crochet over there, you got Walker Buehler. The front side of the rotation for the Bo Sox looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I was pretty jealous of that signing, if we're being honest. I thought he was a perfect candidate for a pillow contract, the exact thing that Alex Anthopoulos goes after. He was a perfect candidate. I really was looking and hoping the Braves would sign him on a one-year deal, but it didn't happen. I thought that was really, really smart and efficient for Boston to do that.
Absolutely, man. And then my other Boston Red Sox question is, they just signed Alex Bregman. You got Rafael Devers over there as well. Who plays where? Does Devers stay over there at third base? He already said he's not going to be designated. He won't be the DH for him. Do they move Bregman to second base? What do you think, looking at the peripherals, who plays where? Who should play where if you're lining up the lineup for the Red Sox?
Okay, so who will play third? I think it'll be Devers because it's pretty much his team. And it's going to be like the Derek Jeter situation when Alex Rodriguez came in. Rodriguez was a better defender, but they moved him to third to let Jeter, the captain, stay at shortstop. I think it's kind of going to be the same thing with Devers. He said straight up that he's a third baseman and he's going to play third. And I think that's really stupid.
Question, Sam.
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Keep going, Sam.
Oh, okay. But basically, if you look at the metrics of qualified third basemen last year, which means they had enough plate appearances to qualify, there's 17 of them. If you look at like a full defensive metrics, you can spend hours talking about this. But from a high level, Alex Bregman was about the 5th best defensive third baseman in Major League Baseball. Out of 17, Rafael Devers was 14th out of 17. So he brought negative value and defensively, and Alex Bregman brought extreme positive value from the hot corner. So that's one of Bregman's calling cards. One of the reasons why you want him on your team is because he's a solid defender at third base. So the fact that they're paying him $40 million to play a position that doesn't take as much skill or is not as important is just kind of dumb.
Well, like, my question is, okay, so Devers, it's like, I mean, he's been on that team since what, like 17 or something like that, 18? It's like you could say it's his team, but I mean, is it really? And then two, like, isn't he like an error machine? I mean, like, he's got a decent bat, right? Don't you want to have him like maybe DH and have Bregman, who's like more sound as a defensive player, playing third base? Regardless of, you want to say, hey, it's my team and I've been here, but you got to do what's best for the team, right?
I mean, that's how I feel about it. All love to Devers. I think he's one of the most underrated bats in the league. No one seems to talk about him. He's one of the most consistent hitters in our lifetime. So all love there, but defensively, he has declined so quickly. It just like, it's okay, man. You can move somewhere else now. Stop worrying about third base. Just keep your focus on hitting. Do your thing. It makes more sense to move to second base or even first base.
What's the bigger news to you, Trout to right field or Devers not leaving third base?
I think it's extremely smart that Trout is moving. I mean, he's excellent in center field when healthy, but he's never healthy. So let the guy be on the field. If he thinks moving to right field is going to keep him on the field, his bat is super important too. this could be the difference between him being, a first ballot Hall of Famer or not, by him being able to stay on the field for the next few years.
What do you think of Justin Turner getting picked up on a one-year little deal with the Cubbies?
For $6 million, I mean, he's still 14% bet. He's still 14% better than league average with his bat, and he's probably going to be DH the whole time. $6 million is a steal. I'm surprised if that was his price that other teams had not done it already.
Wow. Yeah, great stuff there. And then we got one more comment to read off to you before we let you go. Wesley says, Sam Peebles for president. He's the man and the Pokemon Go King. Sam, thanks so much for your time, my friend. And, hey, we look forward to chatting with you next week.
Absolutely. Go Braves.
Go Braves. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back after this talking some trivia. So give us a call, 850-215-6290.
Your home for college basketball, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Last weekend, the number 1 Auburn Tigers took care of business against Alabama. Next, Auburn returns to the jungle to face their next challenge, the Arkansas Razorbacks. Coverage coming up Wednesday at 7:30, tip-off at 8, right here on your home for college basketball and the Auburn Tigers.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Tuesday afternoon. The rest of the day, some sun and 65 with a light breeze out of the east-northeast at 5 miles per hour. For tonight, sprinkles and mostly clouds and a low near 54. Tomorrow, raining lightly most of the day except mostly clouds in the evening and a high around 58. For Thursday, mostly sunshine and a high of 49. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi folks, it's Tracy with Tracy's Fine Jewelry and Coin and Bullion Reserves. Did you know that we do more than just sell some of the finest jewelry in town? We can engrave on your wedding band, locket, Yeti cup, or almost anything. Need your watch battery changed? We can do that too. Our expert will even evaluate your coin collection. And of course, we always pay top dollar for your old gold and silver jewelry. See, there's a lot more to Tracy's Fine Jewelry than a lot of pretty sparkly things. Come and see us today at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
As a realtor, it's important who you choose as your title company. May we suggest South Oak Title? Their offices are modern, comfortable, and state-of-the-art. South Oak Title can close transactions in any location in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. Their free mobile app allows realtors to deliver a net sheet in seconds. They provide mobile closing services to accommodate buyers and sellers. Their offices are beautifully decorated, state-of-the-art, complete, safe, and secure. South Oak Title, creating a better title and closing experience through technology and tailored service. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Get the edge on the competition with the latest lines, expert picks, and everything you need to place your bets. Elevate your game day experience with ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs in the doghouse with the college football prognosticator, Tyler Bishop, Caveman Rick, and I'm David Hayes. And this is 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, your spot for select Orlando Magic games. Also heard on 101.9 over there in Port St. Joe. Beautiful Panama City. Man, we have had some nice weather. Hopefully you guys are buckled up and driving safely out there, or you could be listening on your smart speaker. Just say, hey, Alexa, go to ESPN Northwest Florida, I believe, something to that effect. Just say, hey, Alexa, turn on ESPN Northwest Florida. Hopefully that works for you guys. Our trivia question for this afternoon: which active MLB pitcher has the most shutouts? Which active MLB pitcher has the most shutouts? He has 15, which is good for 393rd all time.
Dang. Is that more of just that there's a youth movement at the pitcher position, do you think, or is it just
No, it's because starting pitch in order to record a shutout, you have to pitch the complete game without giving up a run. And now, guys, if you get to the fifth inning, you get a clap on the back, like that. You might get a standing ovation if you get to the fifth inning.
If
and
you
I'm
get to
being
the sixth
slightly
and seventh, you're just like, wow, that guy, he really put in some innings today.
Yeah.
So it's just more guguys aren't playing complete games as much.
Yeah, they're not pitching complete games. They're and you know, I almost said the guy's name. when you look at the list of the guys above him, I think the all-time leader is at like 101, and then it's, a huge drop-off, and you get like the guy at 26 is sitting there at 40.
Okay.
So it's one of those, and when you look at the list, it's Hall of Famers across the board. Again, thanks to Sam Peebles for coming on with us. That was a fun segment as always. Y'all make sure to go follow and subscribe to the Braves Dugout podcast. And also just go follow him on Twitter because the man releases so many articles. He's focused on the Braves when it comes to his podcast and his fandom, but he's a baseball fan through and through, and it does not get much better than that. And it makes it very helpful for me when we have him on because we could talk about all things baseball. Which active MLB pitcher is our trivia question? Who has the most shutouts? He's got 15. Oh, well, let's go to Michigan Eddie 2.0. Michigan Eddie, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You playing trivia with us?
Yeah, I'm playing.
All right. Which active Major League Baseball pitcher has the most shutouts?
McKinley's going to say my daughter.
All right.
She knows that.
Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct. You just got a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock, $25 to not the, but that boot store, and a gift certificate to Golf Plus. And for you, Kenley, because I know that you play golf, we're going to throw in a Golf Plus T-shirt for you.
Thank you.
All right, Michigan Eddie, thanks so much for the call. And
hey, I'm not done yet.
Oh.
Not my turn.
All right.
Not my turn.
All right.
Hey,
go ahead.
Let's talk Tigers. You're talking Bregman earlier and all that crap on the Red Sox. Who cares? AJ Hinch is taking out an MCDC. If you don't want to come play for us, we're just going to beat you. And Bregman, we beat you when you were at the Astros. We'll beat you with the stupid Sox and Fenway. And you know what? Our deal was good. You know what?
What'd y'all offer him?
I think it was like I think it was the same amount or maybe a year less, but it was like 10, 20 million less than that, I believe. I think. I mean, dude, the Red Sox ain't going nowhere, bro. Tigers are.
I mean, the Tigers have youth on their side. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Red Sox. Again, that top half of the rotation is definitely something to look forward to. You add in Bregman with Devers, and they've got some things that could be happening. But, I mean, I like what the Tigers are building. They're an exciting team. They're a fun team to watch play the game of baseball.
Dude, Detroit is just a sports city, bro. Don't sleep on us. I mean, there's going to be chips coming out of there like I changed my socks, bro. Just saying in the morning. Just saying. Detroit is awesome. A lot better than Philadelphia, caveman.
Get out of town. Who won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, who cares? You know what? If Detroit didn't have Murphy's Law and self-destruct, we would have whipped the crap
You've
out of
never been to a Super Bowl. Get out of here, man. Lions.
Hey, so that's totally true.
Hey, we are the Lions. Hear us roar.
Meow. We did win a lot of NFC championships before the Super Bowl came about.
Yeah, we won 3.
We're so close.
We won 3 NFL championships, too, before the Super Bowl came around. So that's number 5 for us championship, baby.
Okay, and you just got yours like 4 or 5 years ago after a long draw, too. So I want to talk, caveman.
We've been there, buddy.
Tariq Skubal, though, man.
I can't say nothing to that.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Not throwing shade, just facts.
Dude, I'm just telling you. If the Lions wouldn't have self-destructed against the Redskins, Eagles would have came to Ford Field, we would have demolished.
This isn't What If Wednesday. This is Taco Tuesday, Eddie. Call in tomorrow.
Taco. Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice.
I'm from Philly. What do you expect?
It is Tariq Tuesday, though. Tariq Skubal, what kind of a year are you expecting from the stud?
Dude, awesome. I mean, you got the 1-2 punch with him and Jack Flaherty's back. And, and I was actually in Ann Arbor talking to my buddy Mark at 97 The Ticket up in Detroit when Eddie had his baseball thing up there at the trade deadline. Everybody wanted to trade Jack and Tarek both. And I didn't want them to trade either of them because I had a feeling they could make a run. So I ended up trading Jack. Everything worked out for all parties involved. We got draft picks. We still made it to the playoffs and all that. But now you got Reese Olson, who's possibly number 3. You got Casey Mize. I mean,
yeah.
we actually are going to have a traditional starting 5 versus the one and then platoon, bullpen platoon, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be good. And then, we're picking up some solid players, and then you got Riley Green. I mean, it's good. You got Torkelson. People aren't high on it, but, dude, he wasn't the number one draft pick for no reason, man. Baseball is a game of slumps. I know that more than anyone with Eddie, and I go through with him with his pitching slumps or his batting slumps, whatever. It ebbs and flows, man. Baseball is a very unforgiving game, and in baseball, it is true. It's 95% mental and 5% physical because it gets in your head and you're in that slump. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
I definitely know what you're saying. You just got to fight through those and do the best you can. I think maybe the next toughest sport when it comes to how it affects your mental. Actually, I would say that the sport of golf is more mentally unforgiving than what the sport of baseball is. But they're both up there, and both of your kids are playing both of those sports, aren't they?
Yeah, but here's another position that's very unforgiving. And I have a psyche on the mental mantra, and that's the hockey netminder.
Yeah.
If you get in a slump, bro, like what they say is the best. I mean the hardest position to play in Detroit.
The octopus.
Actually, I got kicked out of Nichols Arena for throwing out sunlights when the Avs and Red Wings played when I was a kid at the academy, by the way. But that's the story for later. Anyway, it's then Lions starting quarterback. Tigers starting pitcher, number one, the ace, like a Tarek Skubal, and the Red Wing goalie, the Red Wing netminder. Those are the three hardest sports jobs in Detroit.
Well, I would say up until MCDC took over there for Detroit, the Detroit head coaching job, right?
Well, that was a given though, because we were so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we could. I mean, it wasn't the coach's fault. It was the front office. We could get Bill Belichick up at his, and we would still go 0-16.
Yeah.
Because like I said on the show the other day, you got the general, and then you got the wing commander, then you got the squad commander. And I misspoke, by the way. Dan Campbell isn't leading us into the trenches. He's leading us into the air. He's our wingman. He's flying our four-ship and our formation in enemy territory.
You need to run the Flying V.
Yeah, the Flying V, whatever. And what's is Lincoln Financial? Just bomb the crap out of Lincoln Financial.
You need new ownership, and as long as the Fords own that team, you guys aren't winning squat.
Dude, you sound just like my dad. My old man, God rest his soul. My dad did the same thing when they got rid of Bobby Schmidt and Bobby Lane and all that. But it's a different thing. And Clay Ford doesn't own the team anymore, bro. His daughter runs it. It's a different Ford leadership and mantra, man. But that used to be very true.
Nepotism. Come on, man. Nepotism. I thought we were done with that.
Thank you, sir.
Go have a Philly cheesesteak, caveman.
I wish I could, buddy.
Hey, how about you give us another one of them great sign-offs, the People's Caller?
Sorry, I called twice, people.
It's okay.
My bad. I had to call on single. Go big truck there. We're going to throw these back. No, I love PA. My dad's from PA. Love you, K-Man. I'm out.
Love you too, bud.
All right. Well, that actually helps us out a little bit just for the fact of what we're going to be talking about next. Briefly, Justin Tucker in the pools of the Deshaun Watson pool, up to 16 now. 16 ladies have come forth, massage therapist. And I heard them talking about this. I don't know what show it was here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It wasn't a local show. It was one of the national shows. And they're like, why? At this point, if this is what you're going for, why don't you just go to a actual massage place? And they said, one that's got the red lights on there, which I didn't know anything about that till I heard that. But apparently we just had like a massage place roundup around here 2 weeks ago. And I was reading about that on the news, where they were arresting some of the places for not getting the correct, or not, they weren't arresting the places, but the owners of the places for not getting the correct information and stuff like that. Apparently one of the customers had wrote John Doe when they signed it. It's oh my goodness, I didn't even know. I was there's no way any of that's happening in Panama City. Little did I know.
Hey, there's a Southwest direct flight from Baltimore to Panama City, so maybe Justin Tucker would make sense.
Oh man, but how wild is that though? You're a kicker, and that's the reason why people I've heard
kickers got a lot of downtime.
Well, they do. I don't know how much of his time was down nor up, but the problem is that people are bringing the certain card that likes to be thrown around with this one because, Deshaun Watson, Justin Tucker, but it's like, I think we need to use a position card for this one. We've got one quarterback who it was bad enough for Deshaun Watson as it was, but then he gets a $250 million deal with the Cleveland Browns guaranteed, which is unheard of in the National Football League. So then everyone doubling down on their takes with Justin Tucker. And that situation is like, this don't even make sense. How does a kicker even get 16 people to fall for tricks like that?
Yeah, no, the crazy thing is, like, I've seen tweets from people from like over a year ago, like saying verbatim what was going on, like how he was banned from Baltimore massage. Like, and how's it just now coming out? Is it because he started missing kicks?
Yeah.
All of a sudden is the ownership like, all right, yeah, we can go and get rid of this guy now. Like, y'all stop covering up for him. Like, it's kind of a joke, but at the same time, like, how? Like, I just don't understand how something goes on for this long. And, like, now it's this many people, and it's just now becoming news. Like,
it's par for the course. I mean, look at there was whispers and talk about Sandusky over in Penn State for a while, too, and look what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People just turn a blind eye, turn their head. They're loyal to a certain point until they're not loyal anymore.
Which is, not the loyalty side of it, but especially with a kicker to get. But he was, one of the top paid kickers, one of the best kickers, one of the best when it comes to percentage wise, one of the best kickers of all time. And then once that starts dwindling down, it's like, and then once one or two come forward, which that's the one, it makes it a lot easier for them because they don't feel alone in it. Which is really, I picked that up from watching Law and Order SVU. So, and then also, we had the recent roundup with Deshaun Watson a few years ago, so that's also helped there. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Hour number 2 is coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida is taking it to the home. Your home for the most live college basketball in the Gulf Coast. The ACC, SEC, and the biggest games in the country. Plus the official station of March Madness.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
Hear every slam dunk in ultra-high fidelity right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the east, a mixture of light showers and slight fog, and 54. Moderate rain and slight fog tomorrow morning, the same at 57. In the afternoon and evening, slightly foggy and mostly cloudy and a high of 58. A bit colder at 49 Thursday and we'll have mostly sunshine. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts and Deli. Call 763-1627.
Bringing you the world's #1 auto brand is a lot of fun. Camrys and Tacomas, Land Cruisers and Grand Highlanders. Toyotas are just built to be better.
And that's exactly how we built Panama City Toyota, to give you a better experience.
Where your needs always come first. Where you can relax with a great cup of coffee or browse the Heritage Collection. While we help you add the perfect vehicle to your collection. Come see us today at Panama City Toyota.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX Hammond. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, the home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning. Listen here weekdays, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with a great cast. Coach James Hale does a wonderful job, and he is a Hall of Famer here in these parts as well. We already have an answer for our trivia question. No one got our question yesterday, which I've already deleted the question, so I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but who scored the most points in their final game in the NCAA tournament? The answer was David Robinson back in the day with Navy. So I know that I know that it's a good question when it stumps the old guys. when the elderly are in here, the geriatric. No, I'm kidding, Coach Haddad. If you're listening, I'm totally kidding.
The well seasoned.
And Steve Barnes was on the line with us. Steve Barnes did have his surgery today, and that went well. Also, you had Wade Boggs, who on February 7th rang the bell for his prostate cancer. He was battling that for 5 months, rang the bell today, which reminds us of Ryan Mulvey he's going to be having his surgery tomorrow. So thoughts and prayers with the Mulvey family as they prepare for that. And then also Jamal Smith, his mom, is having a tumor removed from her breast. So thoughts and prayers with Jamal and with the Mulvey family, Jamal's family and the Mulvey family. We would appreciate that. Really, any type of support that we can get here for this radio station. We try to be here for you, and we love when you guys are here for us. Means the world to us. This is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick, and we've got our college football prognosticator, Tyler Bishop, in the building with us. And
hey, can I give a quick shout out real fast before we do this?
Why would you interrupt me in the middle of what we're going to... yes, you can.
I was just going to say, because we're talking college football, we got a Georgia fan right here.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to give a shout out to my guy Justin that took care of me on Saturday. If you're listening over at Pineapples, man, great dude, great talking to you. Like I said, anytime you want to call in, talk Georgia football, today's a great day on Tuesdays when we got a guy like Tyler in here. So appreciate you, bro.
No doubt. I mean, really, anytime, but when we've got the college football prognosticator and you want to prognosticate your way through life.
Dave's single-handedly trying to bring that word back, Dave.
I just love it, dude. The more that I've thought about it, I'm like, yeah, no, that really fits, though. It really does fit. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be getting together in New Orleans tomorrow. My biggest question, I think everyone's biggest question, every article that I read has, a couple of things that they're going to be discussing, and then the main point, which is, should the SEC and Big Ten get 4 automatic qualifying teams?
I don't love it, but if we're being honest, if it expands past 12, right? I mean, we had 4 Big Ten teams in there this year, right? And then we had 3 SEC. And
Correct.
Then Bama was right there on the bubble.
Yeah, they were there. So you had 2 ACC teams. You had one Big 12 team.
One Big 12, one Group of 5.
And one Group of 5, yeah.
So, I mean, if we go past 12, the odds of there...
Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame. So if we go past 12 to 14, 16... the odds of there not being 4 Big Ten and SEC teams anyway is probably pretty low.
Right.
The automatic qualifier, I don't love the idea of an automatic qualifier.
I don't like it at all.
Outside of the conference champions, I'm kind of cool with that. If you win, kind of NFL-ish to an extent, right? You know what you have to do in the NFL to make the playoffs. You win your division. And then at that point, if you don't win your division, then it becomes a wild card thing. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. But I'm okay with, I didn't love the seeding this year, and I think that kind of played out in a bad way.
That's something that could be fixing tomorrow as well.
I kind of hope so. But I think AQ is kind of redundant because I think the odds of it not being 4 Big Ten and SEC teams at a 14 or 16 team conference is pretty low because of kind of like what we touched on earlier. The Big 12 is not going to get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to an at-large bid. The Group of 5 is not going to get the benefit of the doubt as an at-large bid. The ACC may. But, I mean, we were talking about SMU getting left out for Bama this year when they went, 11-1 in season, and then had to play an extra game. Like, if people weren't sure if they were going to make it in.
Right.
So the ACC doesn't seem like they're going to get a whole lot of the benefit out unless it's Clemson, Miami, or Florida State.
Yeah. So it's got to be a big branded name team. Now, again, SMU did have a little bit of an easier schedule than maybe some of the other ACC teams, but...
But we were still talking about an 11-1 ACC team possibly getting knocked out.
Of a 3-loss SEC team.
And nobody
at that point.
Nobody was talking about Texas getting knocked out. Nobody was talking about Penn State getting knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Like, teams in the same situation. It was SMU because partially ACC, partially SMU.
Right.
Partially, Big Ten, SEC buys to an extent, because it seems like those are going to be the two conferences that kind of control things moving forward.
Before we dive any deeper into this, are you saying that we're really just a Power 3 conference, or is it a Power 2? 2.5.
2.5.
So who has the half power? Is
ACC.
that ACC?
I think they've got a little bit of pull because they do have the partnership with Notre Dame while it's not full in football.
Yeah, 5 games a year.
I think they can get Notre Dame on their side to an extent. I mean, obviously, they have the Big Ten and the SEC, but like the Big 12, I have nothing against the Big 12. You know, I'd like to follow K-State at this point. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State, they've always been a fun team to root for. You know, Texas Tech with Leach back in the day. Like they've had reasons to watch a lot of the Big 12 teams for entertainment purposes. But if you're looking at it, their best football program is not a top 1-tier program, maybe not even a top 2-tier program. So you're talking like a Utah or an Oklahoma State or a Texas Tech Arizona State this year. I'm not saying they were a bad team, but from a brand recognition standpoint, they're just not on the same level as the top 8 of the SEC, maybe even top 10. And then the Big 12, maybe you're talking like the 6 or 8 range as well. And the ACC, they'd be maybe a little bit higher than that, but you're just not talking a team that is filled, or a conference that's filled with like elite programs from a historical or even recent standpoint.
Yeah, that's what makes it so hard to really put the correct value on a college football season where we're talking about 12 games. No one's playing common opponents for the most part, so that really makes it hard to break down. And again, you only play a team one time, so there's not like, well, you know, this team won this amount of times and they were able to kind of show there's none of that. It's just you go off of what you know. And so with that, I don't know how much we can trust. As much as Nick Saban wants to put it forward and Kirk Herbstreit, how much can we really trust strength of schedule?
Yeah, and strength of schedule is tough because it is inflated by the polls. I mean, which is partially, you're going to see some SEC and Big Ten bias going forward, especially because of their perceived power in the sport. But I mean, like, you know, if you played, so say you played Florida State or, you know, Miami won some of these years where they're top 5, top 10, and then they end the season 6-6. Oh, we played a top 10 team week 1. It's like, did you really though?
Yeah.
And then you get in the debate, well, does it matter what happens when you played it, or is it what their final ranking is? You get people who want to make that argument.
That's a tough argument too, though, is, okay, well, when you played it, though, for me, I think I'm more of a, what does the final product look like?
Yeah.
Because when you played it, there's so many different variables that are still going on at that point in time.
Yeah, partially, you know, you can factor in injuries. Like, okay, yeah, we played Georgia week 1, and then their quarterback went down. So they were probably a top 5 team then, but then just because I'm not going to try to pick on anybody else besides myself. But there does have to be a little bit of common sense. But when you start throwing in the some variables into it, and then it becomes so subjective. And then it's like, well, why are we even using strength of schedule? It's so subjective. You want to add and take away things. Like college football as a whole is a flawed game. There's too many teams that don't have the resources of the top teams that are playing for the same champion. Like I've said this before a half dozen times at least on the show, like UMass and Alabama should not be playing for the same title. You know what I'm saying? Like New Mexico State and Clemson should not be playing for the same title. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same fan base commitment.
Where's the line, though? Where's the line? Because should Boise State? Is Boise State a team that's worked their way up enough? Is Tulane like?
And I think maybe going forward there should have to be like, hey, we're gonna have. I would be up for a Major League Soccer, or not a major, but the Premier Cup type situation where you have relegation. Like, you know, you go to like a 60, 64, 80 team, whatever. You have to commit to spending X amount of money on resource and facilities. If you don't want to, that's fine. Go to AA or make maybe an in-between FBS and FCS type secondary division. You have to commit to X.
Type secondary division.
Third division. You know, you have to commit to X amount of resources, X amount of money, and whatever. And then, you know, obviously at that point, if your fan base or, you know, your team can be relegated down. Because, I mean, if we're being honest, like, it's just not fair to some of these teams. And, like, as good as Boise State has been at times, has anybody ever believed they're probably a true national? No. I mean, I don't even mean that as disrespect. I'm just being factual about it. But, I mean, even looking at this year, did you think whoever the 17 or 18 team, I mean, did you think Clemson was really going to win the national title this year? Probably not.
No.
I mean, so once you start getting past 12 or 15, the odds of that team winning the actual national championship, especially having to play 4, 5, 6 games, depending on how far they expand the playoff, the odds are so low. We're just adding teams to add teams, which whatever from a revenue standpoint, but the amount of teams that can realistically win it. Ohio State won the national championship this year. They were a top 2 or 3 team
but
going into the year.
Ohio State is not a national champion if it's a 4-team playoff.
Agreed. No, that's perfectly fair.
So there is that where, and I think
but they were
your
like
sweet spot
7 or
is 8.
I was always a
Your
fan of
sweet
8.
spot is 8. For me, 8 I think is the correct number, but who cares about, do we need 68 teams to find out, to boil down to 64 and figure out the March Madness champion? No, but have we gotten a 16 to beat a 1 since then? Have we got a 15 to beat a 2 since then? Yes. So for that element, and that element alone, I'm fine with the 12 teams. I'm fine with the 14 because every dog can have its day.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I want the better team to win 9 times out of 10. Will I root for the underdog? Is the name of this show the Afternoon Underdogs? Abso-freaking-lutely. I will root for the underdog. I think most of us root for the underdog, but just the off chance of that happening, I think, is worth having it in the first place. Plus, that also gives us more college football. Everyone's complaining about the games don't matter, the bowl games don't matter. Well, here you go. This is 14 games, or more than that, rather. 14 teams worth of games to these matter regardless of what you say or what you don't say. They matter outside of the youngins, the athletes who are daggum opting out of playoff football games, which will never make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily agree from like a fan standpoint. Like, yeah, the more better games, the better. I just, from like a realistic standpoint of teams that can win the national championship, once you get outside of 7 or 8, I think you're just looking at such a low percentage. And I would love to see a March Madness Cinderella type run. I just don't know if it's as realistic in football as it is.
But it was, okay, Arizona State beats Texas. Let's say that maybe that final call goes a different way or whatever. Then Arizona State beats Texas. Now, like, do they have, what was that guy's name who wrote a song, did a song and then ended up getting Murder on His Mind, I believe, like from like YNW Melly or something like that. Anyways, does Arizona State all of a sudden find themselves with more confidence and more like, hey, look, and Texas gave Ohio State a much better run for their money than what Notre Dame did until that final, garbage time. Right, yeah, exactly. So could they have done something? Probably not. Probably. I think Ohio State was, I think we all knew from the get when they bring in, not just,
we knew what their potential was.
What their potential was. And I think that the asterisk in it all was Will Howard. Was he going to be what they needed him to be? When did he become what they needed him to be? The playoffs.
Yeah.
They waited until then, which it is what it is. But that was not the same guy that I watched play Penn State. That was not the same guy. Maybe Oregon. Maybe I'll give you Oregon when they played them the first time in the regular season. He looked pretty sharp. Outside of that, there was a lot of times I'm watching Will Howard, and I'm like, all right, like, this isn't very special. What's special about you is you've got 2 of the best running backs in the game. You've got the best wide receiver in the game. Ibuka himself's not that bad.
No slouch.
Yeah, right. There's, across the board. And then another thing that I don't think has been touched on a lot is the fact that Ohio State's offensive line in the most important part of the season wasn't at 100%.
Yeah.
And so for Chip Kelly and Ryan Day to be able to get the most out of them, that was pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, no, obviously the run they went on in the playoffs was fantastic. The way they blew out Tennessee and Oregon in back-to-back games, and those games were over, 25 football minutes. The Oregon game was over by middle of the second quarter.
Yeah.
The Tennessee game, you could say it was a little bit more competitive, maybe going into halftime, but neither of those games were particularly close. Like we said, we kind of talked about the Notre Dame game. That game felt relatively over at halftime. The Texas one was the only one that seemed to be relatively in doubt down the stretch, and that's what we expected from Ohio State went in. They were top 2 probably Vegas odds going into it. Ryan Day was kind of coaching for his good job, and everybody thought he failed that test. After the Michigan game, they go on a great run and win it all, which is the beauty of a expanded playoff. If you're a team like an Ohio State, if you're a team like a Bama, a team that can really stockpile the talent, you stumble along the way. You just have to get hot at the right time, and that's probably sucks for some of the other teams that maybe like a few years back, like TCU. Getting in, maybe they don't beat an Ohio State now in expanded playoff, so they don't get to go on a Cinderella-ish run. And granted, it was only 1 game. Cincinnati, obviously, they went up against Bama and got handled pretty decently, but they're not going to have as likely of a chance to make a run. But it's going to be interesting. I think the final number that they come upon, it'd be interesting to see how long they're committed to that number, because they're only committed to 12 for 2 years.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So is it going to be 14 or 16, and how long are they committed to that? Or are they going to, oh man, if we go up to 24, we can really get some dollars. It's like, eventually we're going to be playing the college football playoff championship after the Super Bowl at a certain point.
I think 2025. I think 24. Really, the number is too high, as we just kind of talked about, at 12. I think that's where you start getting rid of the tantalizing matchups, and now you're just making matchups. What, are they going to have 3 byes in a row, not play football for the whole entire month of December? Like, hey, y'all take Christmas off here. You play your conference championship. And then at that point, if you're going to get in and you know you're one of the better teams, what's the point of even going for your conference championship?
I mean,
it would be different if there was more parity.
Yeah.
I think it would be different if there was a lot more parity, and we're talking about there's no way a team goes undefeated. The best record you're going to have is 10-2, and if you're like the SEC or the Big Ten, and you're talking about 5 or 6 teams sitting there at 10-2 at the end of the season, that's when we need to up the ante a little bit, because we're having issues really deciphering teams 1 through 4 or teams 1 through 5. Until we get to that point, that makes it tough.
I would be interested if they did want to go to like a 4 automatic qualifier. If they kind of did a flex scheduling where like, okay, you're going to play these 5 teams in your conference, and then like if you're the 3rd team, you play like the 2nd, 4th, and 5th teams, or you know what I'm saying, like based on conference record from the year before. Kind of like the NFL does, where you have to play X amount of teams based on how you finish the season.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit harder, and especially with college. You know, you get a group of seniors that all graduate, and that team goes from, I mean, we saw it with Michigan this year. They obviously took a huge step back. We've seen it with Florida State this year. They went from 13-1 to a poor season. We've seen in the opposite, right? We've seen teams go from like a 3-win. TCU a couple years back, they were, what was it, 2-win team, then they went 12-0 in the regular season. So it'd be a little bit harder to do, but maybe some kind of flex scheduling within the conferences to help. Because like we had, you know, Indiana played Ohio State, but they didn't play Penn State. They didn't play Oregon. They didn't play some of the other teams.
They played Michigan, but it wasn't.
Texas played Georgia, and that was it.
Well, is that even fair for me to say what I was about to say? They played Michigan, but they didn't play the same Michigan that played Ohio State. But at the end of the day, it's still the
team's a team. I mean,
team's a team.
And it's not Indiana's fault that they care more about the Ohio State game than but yeah, like Texas, they didn't play Tennessee, they didn't play Bama, they didn't play South Carolina, they didn't play Ole Miss, they didn't play, you know what I'm saying? So they lost to Georgia twice, but who's to say they wouldn't have been a 9-3 team if they had played some of these tougher games? You know, so maybe they got lucky to get in. So it's a flawed system because of how big the conferences are getting, how small some of the conference schedules still are, and just trying to determine, like you said, who's 1 through 4 in the ACC or the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, there you go, man. Well, we're about out of time for this one, so maybe we'll push back our college football little draft ordeal, because I did want to get your thoughts here. Actually, Will Cam Ward, he came out and said, you know, if you don't draft me and you pass me up, which there's going to be maybe one team that drafts that passes him up, right? I mean, he could drop to 3rd. I think that would be highly unlikely. But he came out and said, well, you know, I'm going to make you regret it for the rest of his career. Is he that type of a quarterback? I think that guys who open up their mouth about this, especially before they've even been drafted, I think you're going to be on the wrong end of the stick. I think you'll be on the losing side of these a lot more times than not. And it also depends on what team you get drafted to and who that team is or teams that passed you up.
Maybe this is very unfair of me to say.
Let it be.
A quarterback that is willing to play enough of a bowl game to get whatever record it was that he wanted to get, and then quit on his team, and then not even come back for the game-winning drive. That's a quarterback I don't know if I could. I mean, maybe it's very unfair of me to judge him based on the one moment, but as a football guy, like that would make me question him as a franchise type quarterback.
Right, running your mouth before they even combine, before anybody's got to look at you or anything.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Red flag city.
Like sit out the game maybe, but to play it long enough to break a record and then quit, like I don't like that at all.
Can I tell you this? Bargzani or whatever your name is, new general manager for the Tennessee Titans, look at me in the eyes right now. Someone send this to him. Don't do this. Don't do this to our franchise that is oh so terrible as it is. Right now, do me a favor. Trade the number 1 pick. Shadur, we're not so sure about. Cam Ward, probably needs to be an award somewhere. I'm just kidding about that. That's a little out of line. But also out of line is the time that we have came to in this show. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We could talk about Deion, but more than likely we're going to be doing a college football team builder when we get back. And also, Rick's Jersey rocks, says Morgan on Facebook. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's The Coach James Hale Show.
Yeah. So now we're getting half of the playoff money that everybody else.
But it doesn't matter, though. Rob, it doesn't matter what the ACC won Big 12 because the other two conferences, they don't care. They own the network.
Well, that's why I'm saying is that the only fair way to do this is to have 2 or 3 big conferences and the hell with everybody else.
Weekday morning 7 to 9, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the east, a mixture of light showers and slight fog, and 54. Moderate rain and slight fog tomorrow morning, the same at 57. In the afternoon and evening, slightly foggy and mostly cloudy and a high of 58. A bit colder at 49 Thursday and we'll have mostly sunshine. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
With empty pockets and an entrepreneurial mindset, Nate Bombach and his family took a chance and moved to Panama City Beach to build their American dream. Now a dream come true, Marinate Construction and Stucco Repair offers Panama City a breath of fresh air with honest service matched with masterful skills in construction. From small repairs to large commercial jobs, Marinate Construction and Stucco gives every customer what they deserve, the best. Marinate Construction and Stucco Repair, 850-387-9851.
Pound the like and crush the subscribe. Follow us on social media for the latest sports news, scores, and updates. Keeping you in the game. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're right with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're in the doghouse with David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the college football prognosticator, Tyler Bishop. Want to remind you guys about the Women's Civic Club of PCB presenting the Spring Fling. Now, guys, your lady's probably not listening to the radio station unless you're making her while she's riding around town with you, but you could tell her about this. This is a Spring Fling juried arts and crafts show. It's going to be Saturday, March 8th of the year of our Lord 2025 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. over there at Frank Brown Recreation Center. And there's going to be a cafe open throughout the show hours. Donation only for $1 is just $1 for adults. And vendor information and application on the website, just go to www.wccpcb.org. Questions may be emailed to womenscivicclub@AOL. AOL, that takes me back to Instant Messenger.
Chat rooms and stuff back in the day.
Yeah, bro, those things were fun, man. I remember.
And you say your away message.
Yeah.
I mean, those were.
I remember, like, the first time that I learned what ASL was.
ASL,
yeah. Oh, man. Eric with an A is on the line with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's up, my boy?
What's going on, man? You already know I had to call. You already know. You already
because I'm talking crap about Cam Ward.
You Miami haters. There they go.
No.
Infinito a Miami, baby. All right. Welcome to Miami. All right.
All right. So tell me where's your thoughts at? Where are we at right now?
I'll tell you where my thoughts are. My thoughts are this. Okay. This is coming from a guy that I played football for my whole life. I wrestled. I did MMA. Like all of that stuff. And when you do that stuff, your mindset has got to be that you are the absolute assassin. If you go in believing anything else, then you've already lost. Okay? And I can promise you this. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Okay? He keeps a list of all the receivers that were selected before him. All right, in the NFL draft.
There's a big difference there. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. There's a big difference. He was drafted. He was drafted.
Hang on, bro. Hang on.
Okay.
All right. My point is, if they would have put a microphone in front of him, he would have said the exact same thing. Why? Because he believes in himself. he believed that he was going to go in and he was going to do exactly what he's doing. So for Cam to say you're going to regret it, he's got to believe that. If he doesn't believe that, then what's all the hard work that he's putting in? What's all the time that he's putting in for? And as far as them leaving the bowl game, that didn't matter at all. You know, man, I got no problem with that because, and I'll tell you why. Look back to man, I can't think of his name. It's Matt something. Came out of Ole Miss. He's got his leg broke playing in the bowl game.
Matt Corral.
Matt Corral, yes.
But he played part of the bowl game, though. Like, he didn't sit out for health reasons.
But no, that's what he's saying, though, is Matt Corral got injured, and then that has just led to more injuries in the NFL.
Exactly.
But
he played the game. He played in part of the game. That's my issue.
Well, no, you're right, but that's exactly what he's saying is had Cam Ward stayed in for the fourth quarter and then gotten injured, then,
but
does that change the trajectory?
He was willing to risk injury long enough to break a record, which is fine. But, like, to say he didn't want to play because of injury, it's like that's blatantly false because he played in the game.
Oh, you're talking about Cam Ward.
I'm talking about Cam Ward, yeah.
Game. Yes, gotcha.
He played in the game because there was a record there, and people like to set records. You like to have your name up. You like your work to be noticed. I mean, that's just a killer mentality, man. It's you've got to believe and you've got to want to be the best.
See,
and when if you don't believe it, if you have any second thoughts, then you've already lost, man.
See, I strongly disagree. Like, playing just to break a record and then quitting on your team is not a killer mentality. That's a
especially when
selfish
your team has
mentality.
An opportunity. One of the better bowl games too, I would say.
Yeah, it was a great
bowl
game.
season, and then to not come back in or really to have even left the game in the first place. My disposition on that would be and it was predetermined from what I've read was that Mario Cristobal was once he got the record he was going to be taking him out. But if
if it took him 3 quarters to break the record, he would have played 3 quarters and quit.
Yeah, I mean
that's my point. Like you were willing to the injury wasn't a big factor because you were willing to play the game.
And again, Eric, it's not that we're not questioning should have he made those comments or not. More or less, the question is, do we believe Cam Ward to be the type of guy? Because at the end of the day, you can be the man in college all you want to. Let's ask Ryan Leaf how that played out. Let's ask DeMarcus Russell. Let's ask the litany of other names who think that they're the man or thought that they were the man. And at the end of the day, till you get, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, did you know about him at Texas Tech, as being one of the great quarterbacks?
I knew about this is what I knew about Mahomes is I knew that there was this kid at Texas Tech that could throw the ball 80 yards in the air with no problem, and I mean his record was only 7-6. So I mean obviously nobody I would have never thought that Patrick Mahomes would be Patrick Mahomes.
Right, so I think that you can have the belief without having to put it on a billboard.
And it's not like he's gotten passed up yet. He could go number 1 overall, and it's like, okay, so he made that comment for kind of for show, I guess.
And my thing is, as a Titans fan, the team who owns the number 1 pick is, if they go with Cam Ward, if they go with Shadur Sanders, I'm going to be a supporter of that. Like, hey, let's try it again. Let's try it after Malik Willis in the 3rd, after Will Levis in the 2nd. Let's try it again, but it's also one of those things that...
I'll say it with you. I agree with you 100% as far as those teams that are at the top. Okay, they need of the draft. I mean, they need way more than a quarterback. You got to start. There's a reason that Jalen Hurts is doing so well. It's because he went to a great friggin' team. Okay, and he had the talent, and he's put in the work, and he deserves everything that he's got. But if you put him as a number 1 draft pick, and he goes to Cleveland or something like that, is he Jalen Hurts still? I mean, Patrick Mahomes, the same deal. He went to an already winning team, and he's got all the talent in the world. But the fact is, if he doesn't go to Kansas City and he's not with Andy Reid and he doesn't sit a year behind Alex Smith, does he? I mean, is he the Patrick Mahomes that we see right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, it's just I feel bad for the kid in Chicago. I feel bad.
Williams,
I feel bad for him because what they did was they went and they got a whole lot of pretty toys. They got a bunch of Lamborghinis and Ferraris and everything like that,
Used
and they didn't
ones,
get
but yes.
they didn't get no Mack trucks to put in front of them.
Yeah,
100%. And that's what it takes is you got to build from the inside out. And I'll be honest with you, bro. I'm not rooting for Cam Ward to go number one. I'm not rooting. No, I'd much rather see him like
32.
Go down and go to a team that he gets to sit a year behind, but a team that's already built, the right way.
And the Bears had such a huge opportunity to do that this year. They didn't have to give Justin Fields, essentially is what they did, give Justin Fields to the Steelers. They could have held on to Justin Fields. They could have let Caleb Williams sit behind Justin Fields. Then then Caleb Williams at least gets to see this is how the league operates. This is what I'm expecting out of you. And so, yeah, I think that every young quarterback deserves that at least a year behind. Let's go to an instance where it didn't work. Will Levis, he had time behind Ryan Tannehill, and it did not work. But those are also two different quarterbacks, which I think is the same, more or less, for Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. But if you had your pick of the litter, let's say it's the Titans, the Browns, or the Giants, which team do you think Cam Ward fits in the best with?
Oh, my God, man.
And why is it the Giants?
I hope it's none of them.
Well, he's not going to. There's no way Cam Ward drops behind three.
Giants got a good wide receiver. They got good ownership, a history of winning.
Yeah,
great ownership in the eyes of K-Man Rick. Yeah, sure, give us Saquon Barkley.
No, I mean, like, ownership didn't make. They might have helped make that decision, but I mean, the Bears, they're respectable. You know what I mean? Ownership.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, I want to see him go somewhere where he doesn't have to start immediately, or at least where they have an offensive line. And I don't think that's going to happen. And I don't think it's going to be fair to the man, because to be honest with you, I've watched the dude play. And I've watched all of his stuff, even back from Washington State, and he does have the potential to be great. He really does. He is that assassin. He is that guy that he's always looking to throw first. But he keeps his eyes downfield. But if it's not there, he can take off and get you a first down. I've seen him be tough. I've seen him be gritty, and I think he does have the potential. But the bottom line is, you fall. Perfect example. Look at Baker Mayfield. His rookie year was great at Cleveland, and then the next thing it all falls apart, all in front of him. But then he goes to the Panthers, that's a horrible situation. He looked decent when he went with the Rams, right? It was the Rams that he went with for a minute, yeah. And then he turns around and he goes to the Buccaneers, and everybody thought the Buccaneers were going to suck. They're like, they're taking, Baker Mayfield. He's going to be their starter, and the dude has showed out. I'm talking about, look at the man's numbers, bro. Yep. And it's all about going to the right place, and it sucks. I've heard some other guys say it, so I don't want to say like I'm the first one saying it. I've heard other people, commentators and stuff say, that it all depends on where you go. It all depends, like a football team can absolutely ruin a quarterback. Yeah. And like those teams that are in the top three, I'm not a fan of Cleveland's ownership. The Deshaun Watson contract is enough to make you go, oh my God. But at the same time, they do have a lot of talent there. There is a lot of talent there. So I guess if I had to pick out of all three, I think I would say Cleveland, and hopefully Myles Garrett would stay there.
That gives them the opportunity to sit behind someone. It just won't be Deshaun Watson. It'll probably be DTR at that point.
Right. And you know, and then, you know, maybe through, you know, halfway through the year or stuff like that, if things aren't going well, then, you know, you see how well the guy does. I mean, it really is, man. It's all where you go. But my main thing is him saying the what he said is, man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do you realize also he's got trainers behind him. He now has, you know, an agent behind him, and they're all telling him, you know, you're the guy. You're you know, you deserve to be number one. You know, they're all doing that.
I don't think our conversation was ever on should have he said that, or should have he not said that. It was more along the lines, do we believe that that's what it will be? Because if he goes to one of those three teams, you know, let's say he goes to the Giants and then he goes and plays the Titans, and the Titans just so happen to beat him. Like, you know, it's one of those situations. And then I'll ask you, what position did you play in football?
I played offense and defensive line.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you this. You're blocking for your quarterback all year long, and then y'all get to the final game of the regular season. You're positioned to make state, and your quarterback says, well, I'm not going to play in this game because, regardless, we're going to be making the playoffs. Whether or not we're in the state playoffs, whether or not we win this game, I'm taking this game off. And Coach is arguing with it. How do you feel about that as a guy that you've been blocking for him all year long?
How would I feel about that? I feel like, Coach, keep him healthy.
As an actual player on the team, though, I mean, and you played the position, so
absolutely. I'd say keep him healthy. If this game don't matter, we're going to need him when it does matter. You know, and like, I mean, that's like, I honestly. That happened to me in high school. Okay, we lost one of the best running backs I have ever seen in person. Okay, we lost him because our coach was such. I'm not going to use the word.
He was brash.
He was a bad coach. All right.
There you go. That's a simple way.
He forced a lot of people off the team because he was so like pig-headed, stubborn. You know, and he was riding this dude when if we would have had him, not only would we have been a phenomenal team, okay, but he would have went Division I. But instead, our coach drove him off the team because, you know, he wanted to make it seem like he was treating him like everybody else.
Yeah.
When us, as the players, I'm be honest, as the players, we were going, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Like I don't care if you don't have to run as many sprints as I do. I don't care. Like, he's that good, you know. I mean, so it's all about winning. And I would absolutely be okay with that, you know. And when you're talking about college, you're seriously, you're talking about a man's future, and you're talking about how, you know, he's gonna. I mean, this is life-changing money. He's gonna take care of his family.
No, the life-changing money started at Miami. Or actually, maybe even Washington State for him.
And I also, like, nobody's arguing if he had opted out of the bowl game, but like, he obviously felt the record was enough worth the injury risk. You know, like, so it's not like he was that worried about getting hurt, or he wouldn't have played at all. That's my point on it.
Okay, but see, here you go on there. Okay, who's to say behind the scenes that there wasn't some kind of incentive for him breaking the record?
Okay, exactly. So the money was still, like, I mean, so his incentive was worth more than his potential, like, signing bonus from the draft. Is that what you're saying? Because, like, he could have gotten hurt and fell in the draft regardless.
I'm saying if he had some kind of incentive to be in the game, maybe that's why he was in it. I don't know that. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm just saying, you know, and I don't know what motivates, you know, certain people. I have no idea. I'm just saying, like,
come on, Eric. I know you're a motivational speaker and coach. Come on.
As I'm saying, as a Hurricanes fan, I have absolutely no problem with any of it. I know we lost by 1 point in that bowl game. It didn't even matter, okay? And I know, he left for, Dion used to call it a business decision,
Yeah.
But I have absolutely no problem with it. Just like I have absolutely no problem with a 12-team, 14-team playoff. I got no problem with any of that.
28.
You know why? Because it gives me more college football.
Hey, there,
and
yeah.
I listen, I loved every minute of that Arizona State Texas game.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that game was awesome, man.
Yeah. Any game that is Fruity Loops is like, yeah, that's my kind of college football right there.
If we can have more of that, then I'm all for it. The one thing I do think is you guys are absolutely correct with the seeding. Why anybody would do anything other than what the NFL does as far as seeding in the playoffs is beyond me. Like that doesn't make any sense. It should have been, the number one has the bye, and then they play the lowest ranked team that's left. Yeah. And then, that's the way it should have. Why would you do anything different? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, a strict bracket in football doesn't make much sense, especially in collegiate football when there's such a big differential between the teams, especially the last seed team and the top seeded team. Eric, thanks so much for the call, as always.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna have to let you go and get to our final segment of the afternoon, okay?
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good one. God bless, bro.
Hey, God bless as well. Eric with an A, ladies and gentlemen. If you weren't able to pick up on that, the man is a big-time Miami Hurricanes fan, and that is what we love. I love my Gator fans. I love my Seminole fans. I love my Hurricane fans. I love my SEC fans, my Big Ten fans. That is the beauty of this area of Panama City, especially with the military bases that we have here, is we have people who root for teams all over the place. I mean, shoot, we got a Texas A&M lady coming in to talk sports with us on Wednesdays, and it just don't get much better than that. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida. Final segment of the afternoon coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Yeah. So now we're getting half of the playoff money that everybody else.
But it doesn't matter, though. Rob, it doesn't matter what the ACC won Big 12 because the other two conferences, they don't care. They own the network.
Well, that's why I'm saying is that the only fair way to do this is to have 2 or 3 big conferences and the hell with everybody else.
Weekday morning 7 to 9, ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. Tonight there will be a light breeze out of the east, a mixture of light showers and slight fog, and 54. Moderate rain and slight fog tomorrow morning, the same at 57. In the afternoon and evening, slightly foggy and mostly cloudy and a high of 58. A bit colder at 49 Thursday, and we'll have mostly sunshine. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hewitt Tire and Auto. Call 850-769-7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
It is our final segment of the afternoon. right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Don't forget to tune in to the Coach James Hale Show mornings, weekdays from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Great call there from Eric. We've had a great show this afternoon. Couple of calls from the People's Caller, Michigan Eddie. Then we've had the college football prognosticator on all afternoon with us. And, of course, Caveman Rick back there supporting the USA hockey squad. Hey, did you watch any of,
I didn't watch it. I saw some of the highlights.
You saw the fight lights.
Oh, yeah.
You saw the fight lights. Man, it was so awesome watching that because you're sitting there, I was looking forward to that game all day. Auburn had just beat the brakes off of Alabama in basketball. And so I'm sitting there waiting on the hockey game. And then as soon as they drop the puck, it's let's go. It's go time. Then the second fight, you're like, no way is this happening again. No way. Then JT Miller's rushing down the ice, and then they get a little too close to the goalie, which is a big no-no, and he's actually trying to fight someone else. And then a big guy says that, and that's when everything kind of died down.
Colton Parayko, I think, was that guy?
I believe that's who it was. But, man, watching this Four Nations face-off has been so much fun. If you haven't watched hockey, I'm not going to sit here and promise you that there's going to be more of the fighting here in the championship game. 9 times out of 10, there could be, but I'm not promising that to the potential viewer. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to be what the round-robin game was because of how games go when you get to, now this is for all the marbles. Go ahead, Rick.
I'll promise you one thing. You might not see the fights like right off the rip like that. First off, any hockey game that starts off that way, you don't want to change the channel. You know that game is going to be like on fire the whole entire game when it starts like that. But this game's going to be intense. The USA is going for its, like I said, second win in a format like this against Canada. And if there's no fights, there's going to be body checking. It's going to be nasty. And just watch out. You want to watch an intense hockey game? Tune in Saturday. Or Thursday, I'm sorry.
Thursday, Thursday evening at 7 p.m. If you've never given hockey a chance, some of the players are saying this is bigger than the Stanley Cup, which... very tough but it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe when you're watching guys playing for their country, and they mean this. Brady Tkachuk was asked, would you ever play, because his mom's Canadian, would you ever play for the Canadian team? Absolutely not. I'm American as it gets. Me and my brother and my dad, we're American as it gets, and that's one of those things. And yes, has politics played a role into what's kind of going on between Canada and USA? Yes, but I don't think that what we're seeing on the ice, as much people as people want to give it credit for that, I don't think that was they would fight the fans at that point. They're not going to go fight the players because the fans are booing. No, there was bad blood between them, and it happened organically, and it was also one of those things of entertainment value.
This is a true rivalry. Make no mistake about it. This is a rivalry.
It is, and it's a great rivalry. So y'all tune in Thursday evening. I believe that'll be on ESPN, maybe ABC.
No, I believe it was TNT.
No, it's not. No. TNT. Well, most of the tournament has been on ESPN. The games on Monday were on TNT, and then they'll be back on ESPN for the final, which will be Thursday. No third place game between Finland and Sweden. U.S. did drop last night, as we mentioned earlier, to Finland. Right? No, to Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden
2-1.
Last night. Finland
2-1
to Canada.
Yeah, and they were down 4-0 and then battled their way back up to 4-3, and then they put in an empty netter, and Canada moves on 5-3, and exactly how it should be. This should be the championship game. They're going to be moving to 8 nations in 2028. Next year they'll be in the Olympics. I believe 2000. This is the whole argument that people aren't getting. Like, everyone's exploding over hockey. Well, in 2027 and 2027 at least, they're going to be playing their regular All-Star. You don't ever want to get rid of the All-Star game. I think what All-Star games need to realize is you got to break up the monotony, and that doesn't happen just how the NBA says, well, we're going to switch the format up. No, you go with the All-Star USA versus the world, and then go back to this, and then go back to that. First off, get your stars involved. Get your stars involved in the skills competitions, and not just in the skill competition, the skill game or whatever. Get them involved in the dunk contest.
Matt McClung's getting everybody interested again. He won his third in a row, and I don't think that's true.
I think that is cool. People they're not even tuning in to the dunk contest for Mac McClung. They're finding out afterwards, and they're like, oh, look, a guy that looks like me just won the dunk contest.
No, I'm talking about the players were on Twitter saying,
fair facts.
This
yes,
guy
I agree.
is like putting it on fire, and maybe I should come back.
Right.
Like Zach LaVine was saying, hey, maybe I should try it again.
Well, but bigger than that. Like, I don't want your third-tier stars. What is Zach LaVine really?
Yeah, I hear you.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
it needs to be your John Morant. No, he's not even he's nothing. He barely plays on the NBA team.
He got a contract because of the dunk contract.
100%. Well, he was on the Osceola Magic. Yeah. And kid in college was fire. Mac McClung, I believe, at Texas Tech was fire. However, my issue is it needs to be, like, the fact that we've never got one from LeBron James is asinine.
He's soft. Just saying.
We're not going to go into a whole conversation about LeBron James again. But like John Morant, he's been expressing interest. Yes. Zion Williamson. Hey, bro, you can't even play. At least dunk.
Get John Morant, get Anthony Edwards out there, dudes like that.
The
Giannis.
stars that are moving the game in any type of direction forward, get them involved in some of these games. Like, yes, like the dunk contest should be a fun competition.
You know what? They're talking about, like, they need to put up more money so these guys will play harder. Man, these NHL players ain't getting more money. They're just playing for country.
Yeah.
Like, the money thing, that's a poor excuse. Don't even go there.
It's like someone saying, all right, you get this new job and well, I'll give you this much if you work this hard or whatever, like, and
that's how sales works, but
right, exactly. But what I'm saying is at the end of the day, when people find that comfort zone, that's where they're gonna kind of tap out a little bit. And at the end of the day, where these professional athletes are, when we're talking about the top 5% or so, they're tapped out. They've made enough money. They're good. They're not gonna bust their tail for anything more money. It's really, that's when pride and ego comes onto the line. And a lot of the NBA players don't want to have their pride or ego taken out. Like, I'm not interested in watching these guys play one-on-one against each other. Have y'all ever watched your buddies play one-on-one? What are you thinking about? When's it my turn?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me thinking that people think that would actually pass one-on-one. Like, I want to watch guys dribble to the elbow and take a shot.
Like, when you had, like, Jordan still playing, if he was one-on-one against Bird, or like some big names like that, when you have the argument who's better,
but
and
you had guys
settle it right there on the court, then that's all right.
All right, that's fair enough. Again, it's a different game of basketball.
Yeah,
totally different. It really doesn't prove who's better. It really doesn't, because how you play in a one-on-one format is totally different than how you play in a team format, right? Because it can't open you up to the same things. Now also, now it comes down to, well, if one guy's way better at shooting threes and he just sits outside all day and then he wins by, so many points or whatever, does that really mean he's a better basketball player overall than the guy who can do it all? I don't think so. And then it's just so many things that I don't think that I think the one-on-one would provide very boring entertainment. Or for the side of entertainment, I think that it would be boring. That's just my thought on it. I think USA versus the world, I think that could be fun for a year or two, and then you got to figure out something else to kind of keep it fresh and keep that in the rotation. I'm not saying that it would work. I don't think that there's really a way to fix the All-Star games from a perception of competitiveness, because the first and foremost thing is that people need to realize that these are celebratory weekends. These are taking a break. These are here, fans. These are our stars. And this is why stars need to be involved, because they need to be out there signing autographs. They need to be, on full display, if you will, as crazy as that sounds.
How much is the ticket to an All-Star game, NBA, you think? And you're paying to see a good showing, right? And I mean, when they're out there playing no defense and it's just a score fest, I mean, what are you really watching? That's just, to me, that'd be boring. You're paying a lot of money for a ticket to sit there and get bored.
But I think at this point, you kind of know what you're getting. Like, you wouldn't buy a ticket to the Pro Bowl and expect a Super Bowl type performance, right? Like, you know what you're getting into.
But then if that's the case, then lower the ticket prices then, and don't have an astronomical fee for it.
Well, it's not like I don't think the NBA is setting astronomical ticket prices. Once you start getting like StubHub and all that stuff is where those prices really start getting high.
I don't know. I never been.
That's true.
Like, I would doubt the NBA is selling them for. I'm not going to say they're dirt cheap, but that's probably not $500 a ticket from the NBA or however. I don't know who actually sells the tickets, but I think that becomes more of a third party thing, and then you start adding the fees and all that ridiculous nonsense. But Yeah, I think if you're a fan, you have to have the expectation going into it. But, I mean, we're having the same talks about the NFL. How do they improve Pro Bowl week, right? Because it's such a bad product right now. And the truth is, I just don't know if there is one.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, at a certain point, like, would you not rather see like a 1 versus 2 game, like, or like a 31 versus 32 game in the NFL?
Yeah, for the
like,
number 1 draft pick?
And like, yeah, these are the Pro Bowl guys. Let's celebrate. Let's give them a round of applause.
No, have
the
your,
back,
have your Pro Bowl weekend consolidate it, right? To where you still have like some of the games, and then you have the Pro Bowl flag game. Because I think that is cool the way that they do it, and especially I go into the expectations of that game not with show me the best show I've ever seen, but these were the best guys of the year. Now, would I like to see them playing tackle football still? If they would tackle, if they're not, then sure, play your flag football game. I like how there's games that add up to your score, and then the actual game, get all that stuff out of the way early. Then the actual game is 31 versus 32. You're playing for the number 1 pick. How bad do you want? And by that time, you know who the kind of unanimous number 1 guy is.
Let's see the UFL, right?
Yeah.
Let's see them do their kickoff game Pro Bowl weekend. Like do a kickoff game. Like they are the game of the weekend Pro Bowl weekend as opposed to.
Oh, okay.
That's a good idea.
All right.
Start the new season.
But then they would have to take a bye week right off the rip because
we can work the scheduling out. But like,
we're going to talk more about it next
guy.
Tuesday because we're out of time. For Caveman Rick, our college football prognosticator Tyler Bishop, I'm David Hayes. Just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. We'll see you tomorrow back here at 4. Don't forget Coach James Hell Show live at 7 in the morning.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Last weekend, the number 1 Auburn Tigers took care of business against Alabama.